So if you drive up Route 8 north of Pittsburgh, before you get to the city of Butler, you may notice a sign for a business on the right side of the road.
The name of the business it was named after the man that opened it up, Frank Raducz. So it's called Raducz Stone Corporation.
Sadly, Frank Raducz passed away in 2020 from a rare cancer. But his company continues. And Ed Scheller is the foreman for the operations now.
We are actually a stone quarry, a sandstone quarry, and it's called a dimensional stone quarry, which is quite different from an aggregate quarry. Aggregate quarries crush stone for concrete and driveways. A dimensional stone quarry is every stone is cut to size for a particular building product. So our stone is more for building walls or steps or patio pavers or harsh stones, mantles, that type of stuff. Sandstone is a much more manageable stone.
There are stacks of manageable sandstone slabs all around. A few boulders too. But all of this comes from the quarry that's just on the other side of this hill. When you get there, you realize it's kind of an open pit mine.
So this is the vein of sandstone that we're extracting. And it's running about anywhere from 12 to 15 foot thick. And those lines that you see in the stone, those are where we drilled with a drill, that hydraulic drill up there. And then we fill those holes up with this mortar that expands. Usually takes about 24 hours for it to activate, and it actually splits 15 foot of stone and brings it out from that high wall about an inch.
The expanding mortar in the drilled holes means that they don't have to use explosives here in the quarry.
So what happens is I can see a nice crack right there going down there in that rock where they filled that one yesterday. So it started to separate those two stones so we could grab that big rock with this excavator over here and pull that rock down and then set it up here in the field where we can come and pick it up with a high lift and carry it down to the pit.
Ed explains it quickly, but there's a lot of work and machinery involved. And it takes time to make room for the chunks. Sometimes a really big chunk will have to be broken apart to be in usable pieces.
Probably about 15 ton. Split it here and we'll save this piece for good. This looks really good. I know it's really big, but I can always cut a sliver off it or two.
The big chunks of sandstone are then hauled down the hill to the processing yard, where they will be cut by the huge saw into various sized pieces.
This blade is 12 foot in diameter, and actually it runs with water. There's water jackets on the side of it. Keep the dust down and keep the blade cool while it's cutting. When I put rocks in here, I gotta take measurements of the rock, of how tall it is, how long it is, and how much good usable materials of it. Then I enter all those measurements into the computer on the saw, so it knows exactly where the rock is and where to cut. The teeth are interchangeable on the blade, and they're actually carbide teeth impregnated with diamonds. So there's little tiny chips of diamond in there that actually does the cutting. This saw cuts every night by itself while nobody's in the building. The building's locked down, but it'll cut slabs all night long. And it actually has a telephone in it if something goes wrong with the saw, so it'll call me right away. And then I know, uh-oh, something happened to the saw. If I'm in the middle of dinner or something, I gotta run out and fix it. I can pretty much time it so it'll run for 12 to 13 hours and finish up in that period of time. I know how many cuts it can make, typically.
So in the morning, Ed and his men have to move the slabs that were cut overnight.
Let's do 3. And
sometimes there are small surprises. but the slabs can be further cut to size and designed to order.
This machine's called a hydrasplitter. That means it's a hydraulic splitting machine. Whether we're making steps or wall stone, so the head of this machine moves up and down. There's carbide teeth on that come down and they actually chisel and bite the stone. And then it spits it out the back on a conveyor belt. Most of our stone he stacks on a pallet by hand. We always sort of have a little joke about it, that you have to be able to pick 200 pounds up and be able to carry it and put it on a pallet.
Some slabs also get even more special treatment.
A lot of times people want the front of a stone to be hand tooled. It's called rockfacing. And he'll take a chisel and he'll go along and give the rock a lot more contour to it. You know, it's up to each customer how they want their stone to look. How many holes did we get drilled today?
Employees here obviously know a lot about how to handle sandstone.
Actually, there's only 5 men that work here, which is pretty unusual for a full-blown strip mine and a full-blown production facility. I have 4 really good men and myself. So we keep that down to keep costs down, let's say. They get the job done no matter what.
We also heard that Ed's wife, Vicky, is sometimes here.
My wife does work here when she wants to. My wife actually does the engraving in stone. She does a good bit of the paperwork and also gets involved in the engraving. She's been doing it for probably 20 years now.
So where might you see some Raducz stone in western Pennsylvania?
Well, certainly the thing that comes to mind probably the most would be the step waterfalls down in Pittsburgh. And then the second thing comes to mind would be the Cemetery of Alleghenies. That was something really proud to say that every stone in there came from this quarry. The entrance signs, all the front borders, and all the divisions between the between the cemeteries is all our stone. Well, we did the big entrance sign for Fallingwater, and it was sort of a unique job because they wanted a very large natural stone for the base of it, and then we took a 6-inch slab. I actually took a big giant boulder in here and I sawed a groove in it so that a 6-inch slab could slide down inside of it. So the base of the rock probably weighed 20 ton, but I notched the center of the rock out so we could slide this slab down in and engraved in it. It says Fallingwater. So that was something that was pretty neat. Even inside there, we did another big stone that's standing on a pedestal, and it actually was on the back of it, it was a piece of petrified wood.
Wow!
But it came out of the quarry here, and it was an impression of a tree. It was a very large tree, but then we sawed the face of it, and we wrote Fallingwater on there, and it stands as you just start to go into Fallingwater.
Impressive. And you might say Raducz Stone is an unusual and amazing place.
This is a blast. It is. Working for Frank was a blast, and it was quite a disappointment, obviously, when he passed away, but it's still fun. This is a fun place to work because everybody here is happy. We all get along very well. Did it?
Yep.
And of course, the whole operation here may make some folks think of an old cartoon.
Yes, and it sort of is like a Barney Rubble, Fred Flintstone kind of thing. I forgot his boss, but that's what they call me, Mr. Slater. Yeah, Mr. Slater.